That's James Jones. That is Joy Taylor. This is Eagles all-time rushing leader, LeSean McCoy. Now, Joy, I have been very outspoken about Steve Wilks all season. At the beginning of the season, I said, I don't think it's a right fit. D'Amico Ryans, he was 37 years of age. Robert Saleh, the previous defensive coordinator, was 38 years of age. You bring in Steve Wilks, 54 years of age. Full transparency, after I called out Steve Wilks on the show saying that he wasn't the guy for the Niners, I got a text from Steve Wilks. Don't know how he got my number. He and I had a conversation. I will reveal a little bit about that conversation. But, Joy, in light of what he did this season and what the Niners did this season but still fell short of doing, is firing Steve Wilks a bad look for Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, it is. He's 54. I'm surprised he knows how to use a phone. You know how to work the little text message? I mean, dang, 54 is too old to be relating to players now? I feel like 54 is cool.
Yeah. I don't know. My dad's like 60 or 58. He's the worst at texting.
54 is not too
Hilarious.
old to coach in the NFL. I feel like we're getting a little nuts. I mean, for that matter, Kyle Shanahan's 44, so he got 10 more years before he's over the hill. We got to relax. This is a bad look for Kyle Shanahan. I understand that they were critical of what the defense was doing at times this year, and then there were times this year where we said that the defense was the best in the NFL. And did lots of segments about how this defense was the core of the team and the way that they win and everything goes through them. And then you look at what happened in the Super Bowl. Do we even talk about the Niners defense? I don't even think we mentioned the Niners defense so far. We mentioned that the Chiefs defense was great and that Kyle Shanahan could have been better and Brock Purdy was good but not great and they didn't get it done. I don't recall there being a moment for the San Francisco defense that I was like, wow, they're not really playing. They're not doing enough.
Very true.
You had 3 points in the first half.
Right.
What else do you want? You're an offensive coach. What more could you ask for? You're taking out one of the top players in the league in Travis Kelce, who's barely involved in the game. Yeah. I don't understand, other than somebody had to be held responsible, some move had to be made. I don't understand how this was the answer, or this was the blame was laid at Steve Wilks' feet. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of it. What I realized is that Steve Wilks was going to get fired regardless. James, he was getting fired regardless. Shady, he was getting fired regardless. And the reason is Kyle Shanahan realized very early on he didn't want Steve Wilks there. And the reason I am most upset is, Steve Wilks, you just wasted a year of the Niners' life. What do I mean by that? You have the best defense that you've had since you have been there as far as talent on the roster. And you hired a guy who schematically you don't agree with, Shanahan. Steve Wilks, when he was the defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, he blitzed 43% of the time. That was the most in the league. Well, this year he only blitzed 19% of the time. That was the 30th ranked in the league. Shanahan, you don't even agree with Steve Wilks' philosophy, so why did you hire him in the first place? That is why I am so frustrated. Because by week 5 and 6 of the season, I'm looking at the Niners and I'm like, they don't have any identity. But the reason they don't have any identity is because Steve Wilks isn't acting as the Steve Wilks who we know him to be. So Steve Wilks is an aggressive DC, but he ain't calling it aggressive because his head coach don't like to be aggressive. So then, head coach, why would you hire an aggressive DC and not let him be aggressive? Hire the DC, get out the way. That's what Andy Reid does with Spags. They've now won 3 Super Bowls together. You hire the DC, you get out the way. But in overtime, with a little bit over 2 minutes left on 2nd and 6, Steve Wilks makes a play call. Kyle Shanahan, you run down to the ref and you call a timeout because you don't like the defensive picture. 2:52, 2nd and 6. Now, I understand why he doesn't like the picture, right? He sees that they're probably going to be in a zero blitz. All of his defenders are stacked about 7 yards off on 2nd and 6. But how many times can you usurp your defensive coordinator and expect it to go well? Wow. I think it's a terrible look for Shanahan because, to me, you didn't do your due diligence ahead of hiring him. And as a result, after having the number 3 defense in football, albeit they were not as good as they should have been, you fire him. James, that's my take on it. What's yours, sir?
I think Tyree said it best. What more do you want from me? What do you want from me? Come on, man. What are we talking about? This is the scapegoat for real, for real. Through 14 weeks, this was the best defense in football. That's number 1. Then they finished the year as the number 3 defense in football, right? You blame a game on him to where he calls an all-out blitz, and the defender drops a clear interception, and it goes through his hands, and it's a touchdown. But not only that, it's before halftime. Yeah. And then your quarterback comes out there, and Steve Wilks stops him 2 times in a row, and he throws 2 picks. You get to the Super Bowl, the biggest game in the world. He held Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to 3 points. The only true touchdown he really gave up, it bounced off the punter's foot, and the next play they got it on the 16-yard line after the defense just got off the field.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, this is terrible right here to me. This is terrible because unless he already knew, even if we win the Super Bowl, I'm firing him, period, this is terrible.
That's where I'm at.
This man did a really good job as a defensive coordinator. The #1 defense through half the season and finished as the #3 defense. 3rd in pass defense, 3rd in rush defense. Really good job on the defensive side of the ball. The Niners did not lose this Super Bowl on the defense.
Right.
They lost this Super Bowl because you could not put together drives to go down here and score a touchdown. And you are an offensive guru. So for me, this is a scapegoat big time. We lost the Super Bowl. Somebody has to take the blame for it, and it has to be Steve Wilks. And this ain't fair at all, man, because I believe Steve Wilks coached his tail off.
This is awful, though. Right.
It is.
And it makes Kyle Shanahan look bad.
Yeah.
As the head guy, you look bad. In high school, I was a crazy mafia nut. I know it's not good, but, you know, my family's from New York, so I love the mafia. And they always talk about who's the fall guy. Mm-hmm. It can't be the boss. It can't be the top mobster boss. It got to be a fall guy. And Wilks is the fall guy. They finished the season 3rd in defense, 3rd against the pass, or 4th against the pass, and 3rd against the rush. That's really, really good. When you watch this Super Bowl game, the Chiefs had 2 touchdowns. One of them touchdowns, they got the ball on the 15-yard line.
Right.
What are we talking about? The offense, and when you're an offensive coach like Kyle Shanahan, a mastermind, a genius, because he is that, I would give him that. You let the defense do their thing. You don't call timeout and all that, and you're trying to critique what they're doing on defense. You talked about Andy Reid. I've been with Andy Reid for a long time, with the Eagles and with the Chiefs, and he rarely go over and talk to the defense. You good? Y'all cool? All right. And we weren't on offense. We trying to score points.
Yeah, no doubt.
I put trust in you to go stop them. They've been good all year. When you watch that game, the last side of the ball is the defense for the Niners you're thinking about. That's embarrassing. Yeah. And I want to say this. I'm even more hurt for Kyle Shanahan because I thought he was better than that. I thought he was bigger than that. You come from the locker room family of being in there. Yeah. You a coach's son. Yeah. And your dad wasn't just regular. Your dad was like that. He was a hell of a coach. And I'm ashamed because he's so good of a coach that you shouldn't go this route. You shouldn't go this low.
But he had to fire him.
Why?
Because they never agreed with each other schematically. That's what the reason I'm upset is because he never should have hired them.
But not only that,
that's why I'm upset.
But they still did well though.
Yeah, like schematically or not. While you and Brock Purdy, who we can't stop hearing about, were going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Steve Wilks should have went down there and said,
Steve Wilks, 3 and out interception. Yeah. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. With the best player in the league and the actual best offensive mind in the league on the other side of the ball.
I don't disagree with y'all. The dilemma is Shanahan and Wilks, oil and water. They didn't mesh. So the dilemma is like, Shanahan, I believe, wanted to teach an old dog new tricks. You can't do that. D'Amico Ryans was the linebacker coach. You can tell D'Amico what to do as a 37-year-old first-time defensive coordinator. Robert Saleh was a 38-year-old, I believe, first-time defensive coordinator. You can tell him what to do. But Steve Wilks been coaching.
But what new tricks do you need if you have a #3 defense and you're playing that way in the Super Bowl? What tricks are you, Kyle Shanahan, who have not won a Super Bowl yet, going to teach an old dog in Steve Wilks who's doing who's doing a better job than Steve Wilks?
I didn't love Steve Wilks coordinating this whole season. Y'all know that. Now, I had a great conversation with him, and I changed my tune to some degree, but I didn't love Steve Wilks this whole season. In the Super Bowl, coached his tail off. Against the Lions, I don't think he did great. Against the Packers, I don't think he did great. In the Super Bowl, he did what the heck he did.
Last question. So go to the offense. Did they play great? Did he coach great?
No.
Come on, what are we talking
Against
about?
the Lions, yes. Against the Packers, no. Against the Chiefs,
you saying
no.
he coached great against the Lions?
I mean, you put up 31, 30, I don't even remember the score of that game anymore. But you put
Brock Purdy threw
them boys in the first half was getting
the other team and bounced off his face, and Ayuk playing incredible.
They lost that game, man.
I'm just saying defensively,
and the Packers dropped 2 picks straight in their chest as well, too. So we talking, come on now, Kyle Shanahan, this is wrong. This boy coached his tail off, right? In the Super Bowl, all during the season, #3 ranked defense. Come on, man. Y'all stop that. Kyle Shanahan should be ashamed for this, man.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.